recommendation with effect from the 1st January 2016. In relation to that, the operative paragraph 2 of the resolution on ALCO's budget for the year 2017, which was adopted during the last annual session, provides mandates to the Secretariat to report to the liaison officers meeting the outcome of the 7th Pay Commission of the Government of India in the context of local employees of ALCO, and decides to mandate the liaison officers to review and make recommendations relating to the salary and entitlements of the local employees, and the same to be placed at the annual session for its considerations and approval. Based on that mandate, the Secretariat reported to the 334th Liaison Officers meeting held on the 21st September 2016 the outlines of the revision of the pay scale of the central government employees based on 7th Pay Commission recommendations, and also the 335th Liaison Officers meeting, which was held on 15th December 2016 on the budget implications in case of the implementation of the 7th Pay Commission. Details on the budget will also be presented separately. However, allow me, Mr. President, also to raise that the other factor which could be mentioned, which relates to the education allowance for the Secretary General's dependent children. This matter had been deliberated 5 times in the subcommittees and needs further consideration on keeping the grant of United States $2,400 per child. If in case this cap is approved, the budgetary allocation would be used 4,800 in the year 2018. This information has been duly reflected in the resolution on the budget to be adopted. It should also be mentioned that the allocation under the head maintenance of the headquarters, including Secretary General's residence, has been increased from United States $12,000 to $14,600, owing to increase in repair and maintenance costs. Last but not least, I would like to inform the Member States that continuous efforts are being made on optimizing the use of both the human and material resources available within the Secretariat. All efforts to minimize and curtail operational costs are also being exerted. Financial audit will be expanded to cover value for money audit, and financial management system will be reinforced. The 4th aspect item on my report relates to steps taken to revitalize and strengthen ALCO as organization. Mr. President, I would like to reiterate that pursuant to the adoption of Putrajaya Declaration in 2009, various activities have been initiated on a regular basis to make ALCO the primary center for harmonizing the actions of Asian African states in international legal affairs. Regarding the strengthening the human resources at ALCO Secretariat, presently the Secretariat functions under constraint of human and financial resources. In view of the decrease in legal staff strength and the increasing activities being undertaken by organization, ALCO has recently recruited a legal officer on contractual basis. However, to effectively fulfill its mandate and meaningfully expand its activities, ALCO needs to recruit more legal professionals and improve infrastructure and research facilities offered to the Secretariat staff. Presently, all Deputy Secretaries General are from the Asian countries, namely People's Republic of China, Islamic Republic of Iran, and Japan. In order to ensure adequate representation of Africa among the top management of the Secretariat, I request the African and Arab states to second at least one senior official to the Secretariat as a Deputy or Assistant Secretary General. I would also like to explore the possibility of recruiting a legal expert or translator from Arabic to English, English to Arabic. Also explore ways and means to improve Arabic website of the organization, and also discuss the possibility of having many activities in Arab states or African states. To encourage the assimilation of academic inputs into the work of ALCO, it is proposed that a visiting fellowship program for senior academics and research assistantship program for postgraduate students from ALCO member states will be instituted. Regarding the increase in membership, as on March 2017, 47 states from Asia and Africa are presently members of ALCO. I'm pleased to welcome the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, which has joined the organization in February 2017. Concentrated efforts to solicit membership from Africa, mainly from Francophone states, but also Central Asian countries, are ongoing. In this regard, I humbly request the member states in their bilateral relationship to promote ALCO by inviting non-members to join the organization. On correcting errors, Mr. President, the action plan has been put in place and which was approved that together with the Deputy Secretary General from Japan we have had begging with the heads of diplomatic missions and liaison officers of these member states in New Delhi for materializing the action plan to correct errors. We have been partially successful in these endeavors. I'm also grateful for the voluntary contribution of the Government of India and the Islamic Republic of Iran in 2016 and 2017. Given the current budgetary constraints, the Secretary General urges member states that we are in a position to do, who are in a position to do so, to make a voluntary contribution to the organization. Regarding reserve fund, Mr. President, Rule 27.3 of the Statutory Rules of Organization requires that a reserve fund should be maintained in such a manner that it could meet the expenses of the organization for at least the period of 6 months. Mr. President, there is also an aspect requiring revision of assessed scale of contribution. The existing scale of contribution was last assessed at the 48th annual session of ALCO, which was held in Malaysia in 2009. The revision of the current scale may be considered also in the context of the strategy to clear the existing arrears. Additionally, the revision of the scale would empower the organization to undertake expanded activities as well as retention measure for the staff and its expansion. On the future plan of action, Mr. President, the organization has now been active for 6 decades, and in order to continue ensuring its relevance in the future, I have outlined a plan of action that may seem ambitious, but which we endeavor to accomplish while staying within our modest budget. The full details of my proposals are contained within my written report, but I will focus on some of the important ones within this speech. Organization and substantive projects for ALCO and its financial implication commencing 2018. The Secretariat of ALCO proposes that the project will be classified into 4 categories: capacity building program for ALCO member states, research intensification project on work of the International Law Commission, research intensification project on the work of ALCO, and in-house training program for ALCO profession staff. The details of these are found in my report and its annex. We also seek to establish partnership and collaboration with the academic institutions. We believe that improving ALCO website and the quality and quantity of content on it is also a priority for the Secretariat. In order to make the presence of the organization felt regionally as well as international, we also endeavor to participate in as many international meetings as is feasible. We are also engaging in capacity building program in association with the member states and other international organizations. We will also endeavor to continue improving the quality of and widening the dissemination of ALCO's research publications. Activities to continue streamlining the ALCO statutory rules and administrative, financial, and staff regulation are also underway and will continue. Excellencies, I would also like to draw your attention to the adoption of some methodologies which may help us optimally utilize our time during annual sessions. This includes focusing on substantive matters through working group and meetings in tandem with the plenary in order to provide an informal, consultative atmosphere for in-depth discussion of issues consistent with the primary function of a legal consultative organization. Accordingly, decisions on matters of substantive character will be adopted in the plenary in the form of recommendation to be incorporated in the report. As per the statutes and statutory rules of ALCO, resolutions will be limited to financial and administrative matters only. I would also like to consult with members of the EPG, eminent persons group, and endeavor to explore ways to optimally use technological innovation to minimize or avoid costs for convening EPG meetings. I'm also of the view that ALCO should continue prioritizing the agenda items of the International Law Commission, and at the same time endeavor to monitor issues that have already been completed by the International Law Commission and are being dealt with by the United Nations Sixth Committee until they are brought to their logical conclusions. I propose that my report to the International Law Commission should focus more on substantive issues by highlighting the key decisions taken at the annual sessions of ALCO, leaving sufficient time for procedural interaction with members of the International Law Commission. Given the number of existing Arab member states, the organization shall work to promote Arabic language as equivalent to English language in the working of the organization. This will be done through, among others, improving the Arabic website, translating all key documents into Arabic, hiring in-house personnel for Arabic, requesting member states from Arabs for deputing senior official to primarily manage the Arabic affairs. Finally, among the practices of ALCO, which have been de facto and largely discontinued, is the nomination of a legal expert by governments of member states as a member of the organization. This is stipulated and Article 5 of the statute, but it has not been recently done by many member states. I therefore invite member states to continue and consider the revival of this practice. In my concluding remark, Mr. President, as you recall, I assumed the office in August 2016 as the 6th Secretary General of ALCO. As the Secretary General, my priority is to reinforce ALCO as a hub for collective dialogue and consultation on legal concerns of member states from Asia and Africa. I am committed towards getting ALCO heard and heeded in the international lawmaking process, leading to its progressive and equitable development. I aim to build on the initiative of my predecessors, thereby further strengthen ALCO to better serve its member states. ALCO's contribution towards progressive development and codification of international law and rule of law in international affairs till to date has been very significant. ALCO, which is the tangible outcome of the Bandung Conference, celebrated its 60th anniversary in 2016. This, therefore, provides us a renewed opportunity to revive the Bandung spirit of solidarity amongst the Asian African states and work towards the betterment of peoples of the two regions, and at a larger level to contribute to the well-being of humanity and the humankind. In furtherance of this objective and the function and purpose stated in the statutes of the organization, I would like to reiterate my commitment to serve member states in their pursuit to ensuring equitable development of international law. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Secretary General. We very much appreciate you. I will now invite the Deputy Secretary General to give us a presentation on ALCO's budget for the year 2018. Mr. Deputy Secretary General.
18 is contained in document number ALCO/56/Nairobi/2017/. It was decided to forward the budget to the 56th annual session for final approval. To begin with, I would like the Secretariat has so far received $307,243, which is the total amount of contributions and arrears, and is 53.84% of the budget for the year 2017. A robust fiscal situation will ensure that the Secretariat will be able to fulfill the mandate entrusted upon it. The proposed budget for the year 2018 is $615,900, which is an increase of $45,300 from the previous year's budget. Accordingly, respective assessed contribution of member states is expected to increase as compared to the one in 2017. The comparative statement of assessed contributions of member states and the proposed increase in contribution to the budget of ALCO for the year 2018 is reflected on the page 16 of the budget document. The salient feature of the 2018 budget can be summarized in the following points. First, the draft budget for 2018 reflects the draft resolution to be adopted on the education allowance for the Secretary General's dependent children. This has been deliberated at the subcommittee meetings of the liaison officers and is needed to be agreed among member states regarding the capping the grant to $2,400 per child. If this cap is approved, the budgetary allocation will be $4,800 for the year 2018. The second point, for consideration of budget proposal for the year 2018, it is important to note that the Government of India has already implemented the 7th Pay Commission recommendations with effect from 1st January 2016. In relation to that, the operative paragraph 2 of the resolution on ALCO's budget for the year 2018, adopted during the 55th annual session of ALCO, mandates the Secretariat to report to the liaison officers meeting the outcome of the 7th Pay Commission of Government of India in the context of the local employees of ALCO, and decides to mandate the liaison officers to review and make recommendations relating to the salary and entitlements of the local employees, and the same shall be placed at the annual session for its consideration and approval. Based on that mandate, the Secretariat reported to the 334th liaison officers meeting held on 21st of September 2016, the outlines of the revision of the pay scales of the central government employees based on the 7th Pay Commission recommendations, and also to the 335th liaison officers meeting held on the 15th of December 2016 on the budget implication in case of the implementation of the 7th Pay Commission. In that meeting, the Secretariat reported that, according to the past practice, ALCO Secretariat has broadly followed the Government of India pay structures recommended by the Pay Commission in India for its regular staff, with the approval of member states. Taking all these factors into consideration, the Secretariat had prepared a budget proposal in case of the implementation of recommendation of the 7th Pay Commission, on account of which the budgetary allocation had been increased by $35,000 for the local staff. In this context, member states are also encouraged to reach an agreement on whether ALCO should be implement complete application of recommendation of the 7th Pay Commission with effect from 1st January 2016, and if so, how to cover the 2 years arrears which amount to approximately $60,000 US. Third, maintenance of the headquarters, including Secretary General's residence, had been increased from $12,000 US to $14,600 US, owing to increase in repair and maintenance costs. In addition to that, there is no insurance cover in respect to furniture, equipment, library books, building, as well as Secretary General's residence at present. The Secretariat considers it is very critical that the asset of ALCO should be insured to cover accidental damage. Therefore, the Secretariat decided to procure an insurance cover. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the Secretariat, we have always felt the commitment to work further in a cost-effective way and have taken proactive measures for cost saving. We will continue to uphold this commitment. For example, you may find that we have reduced the cost, the electricity and water charges up to $6,000 US, as well as on postage and stationery up to $1,000 US. At this juncture, I would like to emphasize that the Secretariat will continue with its efforts to collect the contribution as well as arrears. Towards this end, we have been communicating with member states that are in arrears. Taking this opportunity, I would like to once again kindly request support and cooperation from member states to fulfill their financial obligations to support the activities of ALCO. In addition to that, the Secretariat is also committed to make its effort to strengthen the financial basis through widening membership of ALCO. I thank you for patient hearing.
I'd like to thank very much.
The issue of arrears to be paid to the employees of ALCO. We are of the view that the disbursement of the arrears could not be subject to receipt of special or voluntary contributions from the member states. Mr. President, we have noticed some differences in the fixation of pay scales of the employees in the draft budget. We request the ALCO Secretariat to address this anomaly at the earliest. Thank you, Mr. President.
Very much for that intervention from India. I see another intervention from
the support for education expenses for the children of the ACG. Mr. President, we very much welcome and support the idea of having the provision of education allowance available to the ACG, owing to the fact that entitlements of the current ACG had been significantly reduced as compared to his predecessor, as per the rules which were adopted in Delhi last year. However, would like to suggest that the definition of education, the definition of school education in the draft budget resolution should include also necessary primary school expenses, such as a kindergarten for 3 years old and above, but not a daycare, usually for the kids below the age of 3. A number of international schools, as we know, would ordinarily not enroll a child to a grade 1 primary school without the child having gone through the preschool education. For instance, the Cambridge system has what we call, they call raising 5 or free scholars, etc. That's why we really again appeal that we should consider that. Again, Mr. President, since the provision of education allowance is being made specifically for the current SG, on an exceptional basis, and who, I would say, luckily happens to have 3 children, then it would, in my view, and the view of this delegation, only be fair to have all the 3 children covered by the resolution. It is our understanding that such inclusion of the 3rd child will not affect the existing budget. Lastly, given the cost of education in India, which we know is very high, we recommend the bracket that was placed by the government of India to the suggested amount of USD 2,400 per child be removed. Mr. President, I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Opposition will be reflected, through informal consultation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. From the delegation of Korea.
مما أدى إلى جمود عملية السلام بسبب تعنت الحكومة الإسرائيلية وخرقها لتعهداتها والتزاماتها، مما يشكل تهديدا للاستقرار وأمن المنطقة والأمن والاستقرار الدولي، وأيضا التحديات التي نواجهها ويواجهها المجتمع الدولي نحو قياد سيادة القانون والقائمة على تحقيق العدالة الاجتماعية واحترام حقوق الإنسان ونبذ التفرقة العنصرية. هذا بالإضافة لانتشار الفساد وتصاعد التطرف العنيف واستمرار الجرائم الإرهابية والجريمة المنظمة، مما يهدد أمن وسلامة مجتمعاتنا وشعوبنا. أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، الحضور الكرام، كانت هذه أمثلة على التحديات التي نشعر بآثارها السلبية والتي تؤدي على إهدار فرص التنمية وجهود الاستقرار. لذلك فقد أصبح من الضروري أن تتكاتف جهودنا للتصدي لهذه التحديات ووضع الخطى والرؤى لمواجهتها والتغلب عليها. أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، الحضور الكرام، في ختام كلمتي أود أن أشكركم على حسن أنصاتكم، كما أتمنى لهذه الدورة كل النجاح والتوفيق والوصول إلى ما تربو إليه من أهداف مما يحقق الخير والازدهار لمجتمعاتنا. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. شكرا.
Thank you very much. I will now call upon
التقدير لسعادة البروفيسور دكتور أمين عام المنظمة على الجهود البناءة التي يبذلها منذ ترأسه للأمانة العامة، والتي نأمل في استمرارها ومواصلة دعمها من قبل جميع الدول الأعضاء. كما أتقدم بالشكر لكم معالي الرئيس وللأمانة العامة لإتاحة هذه الفرصة لي من أجل بيان موقف سلطنة عمان من بعض الموضوعات المطروحة للبحث. الحضور الكرام، إن ما يشهده العالم أجمع من أحداث إرهابية مروعة يسعى مرتكبوها إلى تهديد الأمن والسلم والاستقرار العالمي يحتم علينا جميعا اتخاذ جميع التدابير اللازمة وتسخير كافة الجهود لمحاربته والقضاء على أسبابه. إن سلطنة عمان قد أولت اهتماما كبيرا لمكافحة التطرف والعنف والإرهاب واجتثاث جذوره التي يتغذى منها، وذلك من خلال إرساء أسس ودعائم راسخة لقيام الإخاء والتسامح والتعايش واحترام الآخر وانتهاج الحوار كأساس لحل الخلافات، وسعيا من سلطنة عمان إلى إيجاد نسيج مجتمعي مترابط ومتلاحم، فقد عكفت على إعلان مبدأ سيادة القانون وتحقيق قيم العدل والمساواة وتعميق المواطنة دون أدنى تمييز بين المواطنين بسبب انتماءاتهم الفكرية أو المذهبية أو العرقية، وذلك اعتقادا منها بأن هذه البيئة كفيلة بتجفيف منابع التطرف والعنف والإرهاب، وإيمانا منها بأهمية تضافر الجهود الدولية لمكافحة الإرهاب. فقد حرصت سلطنة عمان على دعم التعاون الدولي والجهود الرامية إلى اتخاذ التدابير الفعالة ضد الإرهاب، انطلاقا من موقفها الذي يدين الإرهاب بكل صوره وأشكاله وأيا كان مصدره، والتزام منها بالإسهام في صون الأمن والسلم العالميين حيث انضمت إلى العديد من الاتفاقيات الإقليمية ومنها الاتفاقية العربية لمكافحة الإرهاب ومعاهدة منظمة المؤتمر الإسلامي لمكافحة الإرهاب الدولي واتفاقية دول مجلس التعاون لدول الخليج العربية لمكافحة الإرهاب، كما انضمت إلى أغلب الاتفاقيات الدولية الخاصة بمكافحة الإرهاب، علما بأن هذه الاتفاقيات تعد واجبة التنفيذ بعد أن تم التصديق عليها باعتبارها جزءا من القوانين العمانية طبقا للنظام الأساسي للدولة. وبالرغم من أن الأعمال الإرهابية تجد تجريما مشددا في قانون الجزاء العماني، إلا أنه تماشيا مع التطورات القانونية وانسجاما مع النهج العالمي في هذا السياق، قامت السلطنة بإصدار قانون وطني مستقل لمكافحة الإرهاب، وتلته بإصدار قانون آخر لمكافحة غسل الأموال وتمويل الإرهاب ومواكبة المتغيرات المتسارعة في مجال مكافحة غسل الأموال وتمويل الإرهاب. فقد قامت السلطنة مؤخرا بتحديث قانون غسل الأموال ومكافحة الإرهاب المشار إليه، وذلك بإصدار قانون بتاريخ 6 من يونيو 2016 يعتبر أكثر شمولية وفاعلية لمنع تمويل الأعمال الإرهابية، مستفيدة بذلك من التجارب الدولية في هذا المجال. وأهم ما يميز هذا القانون منحه صلاحيات أوسع للجنة الوطنية لمكافحة غسل الأموال وتمويل الإرهاب، وإنشاؤه لمركز وطني للمعلومات المالية يتمتع بالاستقلال المالي والإداري، بالإضافة إلى تشديده للعقوبات التي من شأنها ردع كل من تسول له نفسه دعم هذه الجرائم المقيتة. كما سارعت السلطنة إلى سن التشريعات اللازمة لتنفيذ قرارات مجلس الأمن الصادرة بموجب الفصل السابع من ميثاق الأمم المتحدة حول منع وقمع الإرهاب وتمويله، وذلك بإصدار اللجنة الوطنية لمكافحة الإرهاب القرار رقم 1/2017 بتاريخ 8 من يناير 2017. غير أنه وإن كان هذا هو موقف سلطنة عمان الثابت من الإرهاب، إلا أننا نجد لزاما علينا أن نؤكد في هذا المقام على أن مكافحة التطرف العنيف والإرهاب لا يتأتى إلا بتكاتف جهود المجتمع الدولي لمواجهة هذا الخطر والنظر إلى القضايا الدولية والأحداث الإنسانية أينما حلت من زاوية واحدة وبمعيار ثابت لا يأبه الاعتبارات السياسية والاقتصادية، وبميزان غير مختل قوامه العدل والقواعد المجردة، فضلا عن ضرورة التعمق في دراسة وتحليل أسباب الإرهاب بروح من الشفافية والعدالة والتجرد، وذلك بهدف معالجتها وتصحيح الممارسات التي أدت إلى تفاقمها واستشرائها، وعلى ضرورة التمييز بين المقاومة الوطنية باعتبارها أداة تكفى لها جميع الشرائع السماوية والوضعية لممارسة الحق في التحرير من نيل الاحتلال والتخلص من ظلمه واستعباده، وبين الأعمال الإرهابية التي يقوم بها أفراد أو جماعات خارجة عن القانون، مؤكدين في هذا الصدد حرص سلطنة عمان على بذل كل ما من شأنه تعزيز التعاون الدولي من أجل مكافحة هذا النوع من الجرائم وتعقب مرتكبيها. الحضور الكرام، فيما يتعلق موضوع القانون الدولي في الفضاء السيبراني، فإن سلطنة عمان تود بداية أن تعرب عن شكرها وتقديرها للجهود القيمة التي تبذلها الأمانة العامة للمنظمة وفريق العمل المفتوح للعضوية في مجال الفضاء السيبراني. كما تعرب سلطنة عمان عن توافقها مع ما خلصت إليه الدول الأعضاء في الدورة السابقة وما خلص إليه فريق العمل في اجتماعه المنعقد خلال فترة من 9 إلى 10 من فبراير 2017 بشأن أهمية إيجاد قوانين وأحكام دولية موحدة وملزمة تحت مظلة الأمم المتحدة، وذلك لتنظيم الجوانب المختلفة في مجال الفضاء السيبراني مثل سيادة الدول الجرائم الإلكترونية ومدى سريان قانون الدول الإنساني، بالإضافة إلى أهمية متابعة الدراسات والأبحاث